Good morning, or good afternoon. My name is Edward Sonchen Oberholzer. I'm the resident priest and guiding teacher here at the Joseph Priestley Zen Sangha in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. We're an affiliate of Empty Moon Zen. There's a part of the coastline of Massachusetts down along Buzzards Bay where the sandy beach at the mouth of the Slocum River gives way to rocks and boulders. The water is inviting, if cold, and slowly entering seems a better bet than diving in, at least for us cowards. And so you find yourself stepping out on slippery rocks that lie just below the water's surface, the waves, the ocean swell threatening your balance, feeling with your feet for a purchase, trying to grasp those algae-covered rocks with your toes, stubbing them, being careful not to step on anything sharp, moving ever deeper into the sea, tasting the salt air, feeling the sun on your shoulders, hearing the cries of the gulls, being lifted by the long rolling waves, settling back down, searching yet again for the safety, for the assurance, for the certainty of the rock-strewn bottom of Buzzards Bay. The water coming up to your knees, your waist, then chest high, shoulder high, trying to keep contact with that certainty, with the refuge of that sea floor, slippery and elusive though it might be, until finally one last swell lifts you free and you find yourself giving in and surrendering to the waves, to the sea itself, cut loose from the bottom, swimming, realizing then that you could swim on forever if you wanted, supported by the salt water, free, no longer tied to the seabed, no longer in need of the supposed certainty of those rocks there on the sea floor. That certainty in those stones beneath your feet, that solid sea bottom, we're not the only ones who've longed for it, for that anchor, for the comfort of that grounding. René Descartes, at the dawning of the modern Western world, sought out that certainty, grasping for that one stone left after his method had cast out everything that could not survive the acid of his doubt. But even he couldn't see the conceptual boxes his doubt left untouched. That cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. This was the bedrock he thought he found in his search, missing that the ergo sum was superfluous. Cogito, thinking, the verb itself, not the noun of the ego. No need to posit a thinker when you have the act of thinking, whole and complete as it stands. Not the rocks we clamber over, but the act of surrendering to the sea, of swimming free. Descartes took his tools and went on to construct proofs of the existence of his God, missing entirely that believer that he was, that particular cognitive trap already lay in wait for him, the boxes of a professional thinker waiting to be filled by the thoughts that fit it like a well-matched lid, tailor-made answers for the questions that he had. And in striving for the known, the certain, we, along with Descartes, tried desperately to remain grounded, to keep ourselves anchored to that seafloor. Buffeted by waves and swells, we scrambled to maintain a toehold on the certainty of those rocks and stones. But the water will uphold us, will carry us off in its embrace. What need do we really have for certainty, for knowing, when we have all of space and time to relax into? For that certainty we long for is often an illusion, not even as reliable as those algae-covered rocks we stumble across at the beach. If only someone had handed Descartes that bumper sticker, "Don't believe everything you think." The Book of Serenity lays out a story for us that touches on this. In Case 20, we hear a tale of the Dharma brothers, Dijang and Feiyan, Late one evening, after a long day traveling a dusty road, twisting through the medieval Chinese countryside, the monk Feian came at last to the gate of the temple where he'd hoped to spend the night. He'd been traveling from temple to temple, teacher to teacher, testing his attainment against the teachers he met. When he knocked on the temple gate, who should meet him but his old Dharma brother, Dijang? "Whatever brings you here at this time of night?" asked Dijang. "I'm out on a pilgrimage," said Feian, "wandering from temple to temple." "What's your pilgrimage about?" asked Dijang. "I don't know," responded Feian. "Ah," said Dijang, not knowing is most intimate. And Feian was, of course, enlightened. "Ah, yes. Not knowing, throwing yourself into the embrace of the waves of the sea itself, living in that uncertainty." The poet Jane Hirschfeld gives us her poem, Against Certainty, inviting us into that dance of not knowing. It goes, "There is something out in the dark that wants to correct us. Each time I think this, it answers that. Answers hard in the heart's grammar's strictness. If I then say that, it too is taken away. Between certainty and the real, an ancient enmity. When the cat waits on the path ledge, no cell of her body is not waiting. This is how she is able to completely disappear. I would like to enter that silence portion as she does, to live amid the great vanishing as a cat must live, one shadow fully at ease inside another." I like that line, between certainty and the real, an ancient enmity. The great teacher, Shunryo Suzuki, used to urge his students to hold on to their beginner's mind. The expert puts a world into a series of boxes and understands the world to the extent that it fits those boxes. The beginner comes to the world with open hands, without those categories that seemingly help, but in truth hinder our understanding. Let us live as a cat, one shadow fully at ease inside another. Wendell Berry, poet and farmer, reminds us that it may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And when we no longer know which way to go, we've begun our real journey. The path is laid out before us. We need only open our eyes and see it. This is where we begin, where we find ourselves living as Jane Hirschfeld's cat, one shadow, fully at ease inside another. In one of my favorite images from that old Kurosawa film, Yojimbo, a film that I might blame for putting me on the path to Zen, the samurai Sanjuro, played by Toshiro Mifune, comes to a fork in the road, throws a stick into the air and follows the path it lands on. John Cage used to consult the I Ching as a source of randomness, fashioning his music according to whatever the divining sticks were cast. A musical variant on Yojimbo, not knowing in action. Just open your heart, your hands to the universe. As Shito puts it in the Song of the Grassroot Hermitage, let go of hundreds of years and relax completely. Open your hands and walk innocent. Thousands of words, myriad interpretations are only to free you from obstructions. Yes, those billows, those swells that offer us the embrace of the sea, of not knowing. Certainty. Now, there's a slippery rock.